Good. So in the yesterday session, we discussed about how the text tags will work, and also we discussed about the image tags. Okay. So I hope all are done with the tasks, right? So now today we'll be going to check about, give me a minute. Okay, so let's get back to our class. So today we'll be discussing about which tags, list tags. So what is the purpose of list usually? For example, just imagine I was just noting down the details of a person. For example, I want to note down details of a person, like I will take name. Okay, I given some age and everything. I just written in a single line. And also what I did again, I started writing other person details in a single line. Okay. So is it easy for the people, other person to read the data properly? Is it readable? No, even though it is readable, but it is not that much easy for anyone to understand. So what we will do usually? So we'll write name in one line and then age or any other details in a line by line. Why? Because here is the we are just formatting the data into a very good readable format, which is very friendly for all the users. So usually for, however, in the while writing only we'll do that like that. Even when the web applications also, when you want to showcase the data in a proper way, and also when you want to make the data clearly understandable for the user, we'll use the list tags here. So generally there are three types of list here. One is UI, and then one OL, LI, OL, and DL. Okay. So these are the three types of list tags we'll get. Parent tags we call it as simply. So first one UL is the, sorry, not UI, UL. What is UL? Unordered lists. Next one is OL, ordered list. What is DL? Definition list or descriptive list we call it as. Okay. So what is the difference between ordered list and unordered list? So now let's go with the childs of these two. Okay, so DL is completely different, but for both UL unordered list and ordered list, we'll have one common child, that is LI, list item, we call it as. Okay, so now in the same way here for descriptive list, we have two childs. One is DT and DD. DT and DD, descriptive title and descriptive data also we call it as. Okay. So now let's quickly jump into this creation of list items. Okay. So what I was doing, I was just breaking up. Okay. So these are list tags, right? So now let me delete this. Format by document. So the first one will be the which one? Unordered list, right? Ordered list. So under this unordered list, so as I already told you, each and every tag have the parent tag and the child tag, like starting tag and end tag. So till now we have seen the self-closing tags only. That means there are no childs it is creating, sorry, general tags. Now you are going to say tag with childs here. So the child unordered list parent tag will be UL. Okay. So started and ended. So now whatever the items that I want to showcase here, that directly I can give by using a tag called LI, nothing but list item. Got it? So now I can give, like for example, I given milk, and then let me do one thing. Let me duplicate this. Milk, coffee, tea, sugar. Okay, then it's like okay, just imagine I given five names. And if I go to the browser, okay, we reloaded it. Okay. So now if you see, we got a list item here. Just give me a minute. Okay. If you see here, I got my unordered list. So whatever the items I given, did we got them in order or not? And also we got added with one of the bullet point. Got it. So now we'll do the same thing with the ordered list. So this is unordered list, and let me duplicate it with the next other thing. That is nothing but ordered list. Okay. Ordered list. So here we are just making a simple change. Instead of OL, we'll be giving, sorry, UL instead of UL, we'll be giving OL here. But I'll make some changes here. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. Okay. So I got created with 5 items now. So if I save it and go to the browser, and if I reload here, so if you see, I got 2 list items. One is unordered list and one is ordered list. What is the difference between these 2 lists here? Hmm? Just the bullet points, right? First one is like we have got the dotted bullet points, and second one we got numerics. So that is the only difference. So there is a particular scenario name reason why we call them as ordered and unordered list. For example, I can even change. Okay, if you said this is the only reason, let me do one thing. I'll view number. So in the same way, I can give to other child elements also. Now both are same or not? It is also have number and it is also have the number. But what is the difference here? Just imagine if I swap this into these positions, like I keep milk here and ghee somewhere. So is it going to affect anyway? Just imagine I was shuffling these names here. This list item I want to shuffle. So is it going to affect for the user to read? But just imagine I just shuffle these steps. Is it going to work out properly? Just imagine step 1, I told you to do something like open your laptop. Step 2, switch on your laptop. Step 3, open the Windows Explorer. Just imagine I swap the steps. Is it possible for you to understand the steps? No, right? So here, what is the difference here? So the unordered list when we wanted to create a list, but there is no particular scenario like we don't want to create them in a ordered wise. Any order will be fine. In such cases, what we will do? We'll use the unordered list. And that bullet points can be changed by using a tag name, sorry, property name called as list style. Got it? So for example, let me go to the internal CSS. ULI, and I'll view list style as decimal. Okay. In the same way, let me create OL also. OL. So if you go to the browser and if you reload, now if you see, it has the both have the numerics or not. For example, what I'll do, let me change it to some other thing. OL given as decimal I given. I don't want. So now one second. So if you see, got changed to which one? Arabic, what is it? It was not visible. Let me zoom it out. So Arabic Indic, we call it as. So if you see, is it getting changed or not? So here, bullet points can be changed anything just by using a single property name. But what is the major advantage here? For example, if you see, here it is starting with, let me go back to decimals only. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just imagine, for example, I don't want to start with 1. Okay, my order may be starting with 10. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the HTML here. And for the ordered list, wherever my order parent is starting, I'll give value is equal to 5. That's not value, it's start. So now what happened here? The order started with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is my order got changed? But if I give the same thing to the unordered list, it is not going to work. Why? Because ordered list have a scenario and have the future of maintaining the order in a particular way, one by one. But the unordered list doesn't have any such future, because unordered list generally we use just for making the list item. There will be no particular order for the items. But if I feel that I need a particular order for the items and each item should be in a proper order, in such cases, what I'll use? I'll definitely go with the ordered list. So that is the only difference and major difference between the unordered list and the ordered list. But both will give us the same output, whatever we are expected as a list of items. Got it? Any doubts? Online people, is it clear? Guys, is it clear? Okay. So now let's jump into the third topic. What is the third one? It is descriptive list, or what we call it as definition list. Okay. So now if you see, let us create definition list. So here the complete scenario changes. Here it will be not used for creating the list items. So it will be helpful for creating the items with the content. Okay. So here first one parent will be DL, right? Sorry. Same way, however, UL, OL we have, same way DL we have, descriptive or definition list. Then we'll have the parent, D, T, descriptive title. So let me give HTML. Okay. Now let me give descriptive data to the particular title, DD. I'll give like hypertext, markup, language. Okay. So now I'll give one more DD, nothing but CSS. So I'll give like DD, descriptive data is equal to cascading style sheet. So next I'll go with third one, DTS JS. So the data will be Java script. Got it. So now if I go to the browser and if I reload here, if you see what we got the items in a particular proper way. Like for example, heading and the dial, like what we say content, like where we'll use a question and a answer to that. So here we are using a very simple text, but here we can use it in the different way also, like definition, and we are just what we did here, we given a short form and we are giving down to that as a full form of it. For example, you can even use it as a one question and answer to that paragraph, like heading and the content we can use, right? So here within the UL, it doesn't mean that we can't use any tags here. So you can use any tags within this LIs or within this DT or DD. Okay. So you can even use images, divs, or any tag that you have in HTML that you can use directly within this space. It doesn't mean that we need to use only content here. You can use any tags also to create a proper layout. Okay. So few people still create the layouts by using the list items also, like UL, LI. For example, if you see the nav bars like headers in most of the websites, those will be done by using this ULLI only, because they'll create a list of items and they'll make them not vertical align, they'll make them horizontal align. That's why what happens, the list items will be very easy to handle, and they'll come in a single line. Got it? So the like that we can use the UL and LI in any way of other development also, not only for the list items. Got it? So here we can use the DT or definition list in many formats. So for example, if I just delete it, now if you see, I have all the DTs in a single row and DTs in a single row. And if I go and reload here, if you see, I got the short forms and also I got their definitions here. So that's how my definition list will be working. So we very rarely use this definition list. But what is the list that we mostly use is the unordered list. Unordered list is the one we mostly use. Okay. So whenever we want to create a list with proper order, in such cases only we'll go with the ordered list. And it also gives us the privilege of starting our order with whichever the number or decimal that we wanted. Got it? So is there any doubts in this? Clear? Okay then. So now let's go to the next topic, which one is tables. So what is the purpose of tables generally? What tables will do? Hmm? To sort data, then simply to say to segregate the data, right? To segregate the data and give it in a proper way. See now, when I have a single list of items, I can use this list type so that it will help me to segregate the data. Just imagine I have multiple details for a particular item. For example, as we discussed, like a username, mobile number, and all. So for example, if I do like this, it will take more space. It will occupy more space, right? So to what we say, to avoid the usage of unwanted space and also to make the details sort in a proper way and to segregate, we use these tables. We are using tables from childhood, right? Even if they give homework to write these tables, which tables I'm talking about? Mathematical tables. What we will do, we'll put a scale, we'll put borders, and we'll write 1 into 1, 2 into 1, right? In a proper way. Even in the exams also, what we, from school days to till today, it doesn't change. We still use the tables. So do you think that when it comes to the development applications, we don't use them? So here also we'll use the tables to segregate the data, because tables are useful in every level of stage. Okay. So now let us create tables here. So for the tables, the major tags are parent will be always tables. So one of the advantage in HTML is each and every concept that parent tag will start with the concept name only. If you take unordered list or ordered list, UL, OL, images, IMG, figure, right? So next tables, TD, TR, right? So in the same way, each and every tag, form tags, form. So each and every concept, individual concept start with the concept name only. The parent tag will be that name only. Got it? So now under the table we'll get table is the main tag, and childs will have T head, comma T body. Okay. And for data we have TH, comma T D. Got it? So and also we'll have T footer also will be there, but we very rarely use that. Okay. So now let's quickly jump and we'll just create a new table here. So now table tags, right? So let me create a table here. So for creating a table, the first thing what we needed is the table tag. As I said, parent. Always parent holds the child. So if it is an individual tag, it will have a content. But when it have a child, the parent holds as the main parent on the top, and all the childs will be included in the place of content. Got it? So usually what we'll have in the table first, what we'll get? Always heading, right? Heading is the main thing for any table. So here also we'll give T head. Okay. So T head, another T head, what we have, then what we'll have? T body, content, right? So T body. Okay. So here T head, instead of T head, we can use the other tag also called as directly if you want to, if you don't want to use T head. TH is a shorthand property tag of heading. Okay. So how it will come? For example, let's see serial number and name, contact, and email. Okay. So if I save it and if I go to the browser, if I reload. So if you see, I got my table headings or not. If you see, did I given any bold or any strong keyword here? No, directly when I give within a table head, automatically they will be in the bold letters. Why? Because we want that letters to, it is a heading, it is automatically representing. So that is the purpose we given tag as TH. Got it? So let me try this instead of TH, let me give TD here and see what is the difference we'll get. TDI given. Okay. So now if I reload here, so what happened now? If you see, is it that much bold? No. So here, if you even if you kept within the T head also, it is our dependency that whether you want to make it bold or normal. You can use the TD or TH. If you want to make the heading to be more bold, you'll use the TH keyword here. Or else if you want a normal headings like normal other characters, what you will do? You will use it as a TD, table data. So now let's give the data to this each and every, like let me create one user. So TD, first one what I'll have, let me give email. Okay. Manoj Kumar v@gmail.com. So next I'll go with number, name, Manoj. So next I'll go with serial number as 1. So now let me go with contact. Okay. Sorry. 9392. Okay. So now if you go to the browser, if I save it and if I come here, so now is my data is properly aligned? Why? What is the issue here? My data is, I given the data, but it is not appropriately aligned to the particular their row. For example, their column. Say under the serial number, I'm getting mail ID. Under the name, I'm getting name. Next contact number, I'm getting serial number. Like that, it was shuffled. So that's why every time whenever we create a table, we should be very careful that for which column, which data we are assigning. So here, it you are not mentioning that you should give like for serial number, this is a particular TD. So automatically the browser will take automatically. So that means the first one will be always serial number. So the first TD should be always which one? Serial number only. So for second one is the name. So automatically second column should be always name only. So next, third one will be contact. So always third column will be the contact. So like this, I created. Now if I save it and go to the browser. So now let me reload. Now if you see, the space is automatically taken for each content, how much content it is needed under that particular column, right? So under the serial number column, we have serial number. Under the name, we have the name. Under the contact, we have the contact. Under the email, we have the email ID. Got it? So even though this heading is very small, but data is too big, but still what happening? It is creating that space for the particular column. So now let's go with one more user. Okay. So let me duplicate this into second user. So serial number will be 2 and yeah, V. Okay. So now if we go here and reload, so what happened here? Did we got the data in a proper way? Why? Because here we are, even though we are giving the data in a order wise, we need to segregate, we need to know where to start and where to end each user data, right? So if you see here, is there any starting and end point? All the users in a single way. So that's why it is gone created in a single line. So that is where we got a tag called TR, nothing but table row. Table row is the tag which will segregate our data into as per we needed. So now, which all the data I need as a one for user. So this is one user data. So I'll keep that in a one table row. We are just mentioning under each row what is the data we need. So if you go with the second user, I'll keep within one TR. So let me format it. So now if you see under table body, again we got one more parent here, table row. So each row data can be handled under each tag. Okay. So how many table rows you create, that many rows will get created here. If you see now, the second row is created or not. So if you go with, if you want to create multiple data, what you can do? If I just duplicate it and if I go here, see, I got multiple rows of data of multiple users. Got it? So that's how we'll create a data. For example, it is looking good, but I want to make it more beautiful. Usually, what is how tables will be with the borders and all. So if I want to create the borders, what I can do, I can directly in the heading for the table parent tag, I can give attribute called border is equal to 1. And if I give, now if you see, what happened? I got a proper border or not. But if you see here, what it's a browser is doing here, HTML, as soon as I given border is equal to 1, what it is mentioning, for each and every element, it is creating a border. That's why if you see, for table also we have a border, and each and every column have their individual borders, right? But it may look good, but sometimes it may not look good also. So if you want to avoid this, what you have to do? So in such cases, we'll go with one more property called, let me give, property called as border collapse. Border collapse is the property that we have. Let's see what is the output it will give. So if you see now what happening here, it collapsed all the borders and make it as a single bordered style. Got it? So that's how you can create any table headings. Okay. So if you want to add table footer also, how you will add? Just however we added table body, in the same way we'll add the T footer, T foot. Okay. And if I give like table data, let me give, this is footer. Now if you see how I got it here, see, I got in a single column. For just imagine the same way here, all the users have the same serial number or not. So if instead of separating these like with borders, can I merge this into a single column or not? All these three, single row. So how I can do that? For example, here, which is the row I need to merge here? This one, and this one. These three I need to merge into a single part. I was talking only about this part, serial number, not about this content. Okay. So in such cases, I want to merge only this one, right? So what if that is the case, from which row I need to start merging? If you want to merge all these lines, what is the starting point here? Second line, right? Here only I should start merging. If I start merging here, it should merge this and also it should merge this. So what I'll do, this is where we'll get a new properties called as row span and call span. Okay, there is a TD here. So row span and call span. So these are the properties which will help us to merge the rows and the columns. So now we need to merge the rows or columns. Rows I need to merge. So from which row I need to merge? So from this is the row I need to, from here I need to start, right? So what I need to do, which column I need to merge? First column, right? So what I'll do, I'll give like row span is equal to, so how many rows I need to merge totally? Three. So if I give three, and if I go to the browser, so let me reload. So now all are merged here. So it worked properly, but there is an issue that we got. The data got moved forward. Why? Because as I already mentioned, how many columns you may create, that many columns go vertically, sorry, horizontally. So previously the two was here, but now I merged that column into one column. So, but when I merge this, still my second, third row and fourth row have this column or not? Row column is available in the code, right? So here still two is there. So automatically what happens? Still it consider as a new child to it. So browser don't have the future like reading which is this future, what is the data here. It will just how many columns you create, that many it will showcase. So now what we need to do here? So already we got these two here. Definitely we need to remove that particular column from other two childs. So now if you go here and reload, now if you see what happened. So all the rows are got merged into one row and my data is got segregated easily. Got it? So how we did this? Just by using this rows. Got it? So now next one is the call span. So for example here, the footer as a given one column only, it was taking one column, but I don't want this to take one column. I want this footer to occupy the full row. So then what I need to tell you people tell me where I need to include call span and what I need to do. Which tier? Okay, where I need to give here? Okay, what I need to give in the TD? Hmm? Okay, call span I given. So what I need to give value here? Why one? There is only one column. Already one column is there, right? But how many columns I want it? How many columns I want to use this one? Why four columns? So here, how many columns I merged here? Why I merged only three? Because we need it for three. So now how many columns I need this one for? Why four here? Because I have four columns. One, two, three, four columns I have. So definitely what I need to do? I just need to give call span as four. So now if you see what happened, it got merged into one single column. For example, tomorrow if I add one more TD here, sorry, like I given some value here. And now if you see here, now what happened? One more column is created. Why? Because now totally how many columns this footer is accessing? 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1. 5 is there. Because it have 4 columns it is creating and it is creating one column. 4 plus 1, 5. But how many columns we have here totally? 4 only. So automatically it will create one column. So to avoid this, what I need to do? How I can resolve this issue? What I need to do? 3 or 5? Sure, it will work. Now what happened? What happened here? Is it worked? Okay, for your understanding, I'll show you what 5 will do. Now tell me what 5 did here. 5 is same in ikkada. So when you give call span as 5, what you're telling? Already I have only 4 columns. Already one extra is created, and you again creating one more extra. 5 plus 1. 6 columns are created, right? As there is no data, you are not able to see till now. But when I added a column data, see, a column is created. But it should come here, right? If it is 5. But where it is coming? It is coming here. So how many columns total I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now tell me what is the call span I need to give? Why 3? Already previously like given 4 only, right? Now tell me what is the call span I need to give? Is it correct? Tell correct or not? ఏమై ఆలోచిస్తున్నారు? What happened here when I give 2? So just don't get confused. Here call span and row span, what it is telling? It is just telling us how many columns I need to match or how many rows I need to match. So totally, if I want to showcase it here, how many columns I need to match for this item? 3, right? So when I match 3 columns, what happens? That's what, right? I want to match these 3 columns because I want this in the 4th column. So for example, if I want these 2 columns and this should occupy 2 columns, what I need to do then? I need to give call span as 2. And also for this, what I need to do then? Call span 2. Now what happens? Each one occupies 2 columns. Got it? So same thing applies with the rows also. So don't get confused here. It's very simple. So it was just we need to know from which row. If I am merging rows, I need to know from which row I need to merge and also how many rows I need to merge. Got it? So next columns also from which column I need to merge and how many columns I need to merge. So that is the value here. Got it? So is it clear? Any doubts in these tables? Okay. So that's how we can create the table. So styling these tables is depending on yourself. You can style it however you want. Okay, when you start learning about the CSS. Okay. So it's 8:40. I don't want to start forms today. So still now, so far, whatever the topics we discussed, anybody have any doubts? So what is the topics we discussed so far? So we discussed about link tags, we discussed about multimedia tags, we discussed about list items, we discussed about tables. Okay, tables, and tomorrow we'll be discussing about form tags. So also we discussed about types of CSS, inline CSS, internal CSS, and external. So far we have seen 2 types of CSS. One is inline and the internal. So external CSS we'll be going to see in the upcoming classes. So anybody have any doubts so far in these topics that we had till now, or with any tags that you have doubts? So how many of you download the cheat sheet of HTML file? I told you to download the cheat sheet, right? How many of you downloaded? Online people. Is everyone got your cheat sheet? Varun, Deva, Kanjot, Pomala. Everyone downloaded? Sure. Yes.
Downloaded, sir.
So what about the yesterday task that I given? Both offline and online people I'm asking. Everybody done with the task? Yeah. You don't need to cheat me. You are the one who is going to get cheated if you say lie now. Okay, I don't want to make it any scene. Okay, cool. So far we discussed these type of tags. So what we can forms, we need some time. But okay, briefly I'll just tell what is forms and generally what is the purpose of the form. Okay, so usually what the forms will do if you are in web applications? What is the purpose of form? Whether web applications are directly offline or online, what is the forms will do usually? What details?
collect data.
Collect the data. So what is the purpose of collecting the data? It may be many things, whether you want to for login credentials maybe, or user details maybe, anything it may be. What is the form will do? It will help us to collect the data of a user or anything. Okay. So to collect the data, usually you have already seen offline, we'll have a heading and a input, right? Where we need to give the data. In the same way here also, we'll have forms will help us to heading also we can give, and also it will help us to collect the data. Okay, so there are different types of forms we'll have. Okay, so there are generally two types of forms we will see. One is the type of get forms and type of post forms, we call it as. For example, if you see few forms will have only input fields like name, surname, contact number, email, submit. Okay, so here what you're doing, you're just sending your data. Are you getting any data from that form? No, right? We are just giving inputs fields are already empty. Once the input fields are filled, once I click on the submit, I was just submitting, I was posting that data, right? But there will be a few forms you will see, they'll have a country code and country selection. Drop downs will be there. So if you see, there that forms also will be again two types, dynamic and static forms. So static forms in the sense, as I said, there'll be no other data that we'll be getting from backend. We are just creating input fields, giving the data and submitting to the backend. But the dynamic forms will have the getting of data. That means if you see country codes, maybe countries, maybe, or like some areas, you will get the drop downs. So the drop down data is not static. Why? Because day by day the address will change. Okay, or the states will be created. So what happens if I kept the data statically? Every time I need to go to the code level and I need to change. So as I said, WhatsApp image, if I want to change statically, I need to go to each and every user who have your number and I need to change your DP there. But are we doing like that? No, we are changing in one place. That is in my mobile, I was changing my DP and it is affecting everywhere. Why? Because the users are not taking the DP from my mobile. They are taking the DP from the server. So whatever the item I kept in the server, that will be accessible by each and every user who have my contact. So in the same way here, what we are doing, the data will be storing in somewhere and we are accessing that data to the form. Got it? So these are called as which forms? Dynamic forms. Here we are just getting the data, also posting the data. In these type of forms, we'll use the method as get method. Why? Because we are both getting the data and also posting the data. We are doing the both. When we are just posting the data, then we can use method as post. Okay, so that's how the forms also usually work. Okay, so both static and dynamic forms. So what is your today's task is try to go through the form tags and check what are the forms that we'll have and also how forms will work. Okay, and also try to note down all the input types that we have in the forms. Okay, so there are 21, more than 21 types of input types. Okay, that means like if you see radio buttons like selection, you have seen, right? Radio buttons, maybe drop down, maybe, or else forms what we'll have. Input fields like text boxes, many types are there, like date selection, right? Color pickers. You've seen many forms till now, right? From childhood. So that all forms that you can create by using this one single tag called as form. So try to check what are the different types of input fields that we have in the HTML file. Got it? So, and also after that, and also try to check what is the versions of CSS and how CSS will work basically. Got it? So that's what about today's topic. And let me check once. Give me a minute. Let me check the curriculum, whatever, did I miss anything? So we discussed about types. Okay. Text tags we discussed, right? Image figure comes under multimedia. Links we have discussed, right? Okay. So here I just want to clear one of the few simple topics I'll just clear. Okay. So nothing but what is the difference between block level inline and inline block? So these are the display types we call generally. So if you see here, as we discussed, I mentioned previously, when I use the heading tags, what happened? Each heading is taking a single line. But when I go with these things, each one is coming in a side by side. I used to break them. I separated them down by using a break tag. So if I delete this break tag, so those are coming side by side. Why? Because there here comes the display type of item. So whether it is a tag, table, or anything that you create, any tag that you create in HTML, default it will have a display type. Okay. So display types generally. Display types. So among them, first one will be inline, second one will be block, and third one will be inline block. Okay, so what is the difference between this inline block and inline block is the first one is the inline. So inline is like a strict space. For example, I just need 100 px of space to create one element. Just imagine. Okay, so okay. So this is my element. Just imagine I have some text here, or else let me do. Here I written some content, which one? Inline block. Okay. So inline block. So how much space it is taken? This much space it is taken, right? So how inline elements will behave is it will tell that this is the space I required for my content. So I don't want any extra space, extra height or extra width. Even if you give me, I will not take. Why? Because I was very strictly, particularly I was fixed at how much space is needed for me. That much space only I'll take. Okay. So that's why if you see here inline elements, when a home is an inline element, anchor tag is an inline element. So if you see how much space it is required, that much space only it is taking. So remaining space it is allowing the other elements to sit beside to it. Okay. So same way here also this element is taking how much space it is needed. So that's how inline will work. So what inline will tell? I don't want any extra space, or if even if you give me also, I'll not take. That means even if you give any height or width to that inline elements, it will not accept. Why? Because inline elements are very strict with their particular space. How much space it is required, that much space only it will take. If you increase the content, it will take more space. If there is no content, how much content is that much space only it will occupy. This is how inline elements will work. So next one is the block level elements. These are like act as a superiors. So what this will tell, even if I have a content or if I don't have a content, I will occupy the whole row. So if you see here, here the heading is only this much content is there. But what it is taking? It was occupied the whole row until the last. Why? Because it's a block level element. That's how block level will tell. So what block level elements will do, even if it have a single letter, it will occupy the whole row. Okay. So even if it doesn't have content also, it will occupy the whole row. So how it will work basically? Let me close this. How to close it? Yeah. So if you see here, in an element is taken only how much space, how much it is required. But if you go with block level element, so if you go with this element, so how much it is taken? If you see, it is taken a full row. So for example, let us try to give width to the inline element first. So this is the inline element, right? So what is the width of this element? 51.56 px width and 18 px height. So what I'll do, let me give some width of 200 px. So did it taken? Is it taken width? I got a notice here. So what is this notice? The display inline property prevents width from having an effect. Also it is telling try setting display to some other than inline. So inline is very particular about its space. It will not take extra space, and also it will not allow the user to give extra space also. Let me try with height also. Is it taken? Same notice here. We got one more notice. Nothing but display inline property prevents height from having an effect. Got it? So now let's try the same things with the block level element. So this is the element, right? So let me give a background to it so that you can easily understand what it is. Background as red. I given mistake. Okay, background red I given. Now you can see how much element width this element occupied. So now let's give width to this element. Width of, is width correct spelling? Width of 100 px I given. Okay, or else let me make it 300 px I have given. So now it was taken 300 px, right? So, but still, if you see the second item is not coming side, why? Because it is also a block level element. It occupied the. Okay, we did some mistake with this tag here. Okay, let me edit for time being in here. Yeah, we can. So this is the advantage of using developer tools. It will help us to even edit this here. So slash, sorry, I can close it here only directly. So now I got it properly. So now if you see, let us give a background to H4 also. Background of green I given. Okay. So now if you see, even though I given width of 300 px to it, so remaining space it should occupy, but it is not occupying because it is also block level element. So let's what we will do. Let us make this element width also 300 px. Okay. So if you see only this much space, these are taken, right? Then definitely they should sit side by side. But why they are not sitting still? Because what the block load, as I said, however, inline is powerful and it will tell it will not accept any other one. Block load also same way. So if you see, whenever I given width of 300 px, remaining whatever the space is there, the block load elements convert that into margin. So what is margin and padding? Anybody have any idea? So for example, margin and padding are the properties we use to give space between the elements. Okay. So margin is in the sense giving around the element, for example. So if this is the element, okay. So let me show here. So this is the whole element. So the margin will be outside of the element will be the margin, and inside of this is the margin of that element. So padding will be inside of that element. That means let me show that padding also here. Padding of 20 px. So if you see, there is a space created inside. If you see now, the blue color one is the content. After the content, we'll have the padding. Then we'll have the border. After that, we have the margin. So simply to say, if I have a ball, if I want to create a space outside of that ball or rectangle, take example of a rectangle box. I want to create a space outside of the rectangle box. That's where I use the margin. So if you want to create a space inside of that box, so that's where I use the padding. Got it? So the content will be inside padding only. So whenever I want to use external space, I'll use the margin, and internal space, I'll use the padding. So if you see here, the margin is automatically created for these elements. So that's how block level elements will work. So now if you see, even for example, if I delete the whole content also, there is no content at all. But still, if you see, it is still taking the full width or not. It is still taking the width. Why? Because that's how block level will work. So block level will tell that whether I have a content or I don't have a content, whether I have a space or not, but I'll occupy the whole row. I'll not allow any other element to sit beside me. But how inline is completely opposite to the block level. What inline will tell, I don't need any extra space. Even if you give, I'll not take. Whatever the space is needed for me, I'll take that space. That's how inline will work. But both will help in different ways. But for example, I want these elements to be side by side and I want to give some width to it. Is it possible for me with these properties so far? This, even if for a display block element, if I give 100 with 300 px and a height of 10 px, it will take, but remaining will be taken as a margin only. It will not allow any other element to sit beside. But for the inline element, for example, if I give width or height, it will not take. It will take only how much space it is required. So that's where a new property got generated. That is nothing but inline block. So which will have the features of both block and inline. That means, for example, now let me, okay, so let me convert this element into inline block now. So what I will be doing, let me give background first, background as yellow. So now if you see, it is a by default display block. I will convert it into display inline by using a property called display. Here if you see block, flex, flow, many are there, but we are need to concentrate more on display block, inline block and block, right? Inline, sorry. So I'll give inline block. Inline block I given. Now if you see what happened. So this converted into inline element, right? So inline element only, right? How much space it required will take. Is the block level will take like this. So now let me convert the next element into inline. Display. Inline. Now what happened? This element came beside to it or not? So now we'll do one more thing. Now I want to give width to this element. Which element? Display inline. So let me give width of 300 px and height of 30 px. So now if you see, is it taking or not? Got it. So here by default, as soon as I convert into display inline block, it was worked as an inline. But when I give this width and height, it was taking. Okay. And also it was getting blocked with how much space it is required. That space can't be occupied by any other element. So remaining space it will take, any item can occupy. So block level element can't sit beside to inline block element also. Why? Because block level always occupies the whole row. Inline element is not like that. If I have a space, I'll take that space and I'll go there. If I have more space, if there is one more inline element, it will also come. For example, here if you see, it is a block level element, right? So if I convert this also as a display inline, what happens? It also gone to the top. But let me convert this into inline block. If you see inline block, is there any issue? Let me convert this also. It is inline, right? Let me convert it into inline block. So is there any change here? No. So inline block have, it is like a combination of both block level and inline element. So what inline block will tell? By default, I'll take what is the property that you give. Like if you give me inline block, I'll work as inline. But if you want to increase my space, I'll accept that width and height. And I'll work based on that, I'll change it. That's how inline block will work. But inline, it will not accept any height or width. Block, even if it accept, it will not allow the remaining space, it will convert into a margin because it should not allow any other elements. But inline block is not like that. It will take margin or padding or height, width, whatever you give, it will take. So remaining space, it will leave for other elements to sit beside to it. Got it? So that is the difference between block, inline and inline block. So far, if you check what are the elements that we discussed, all the headings and paragraphs are block level elements. So text tags also, few tags are inline and few tags are block level elements. So anchor tags, link tags are always inline or block level elements, links. In link tags I was talking about. Anchor tag, inline. That's why we are getting side by side, right? Okay. So default, by default, whichever the element you create, table, list, or anything, each and every item will have one default value, whether inline or block. but by default, no element will have a property of inline block. Just remember, got it? So that's how my element will work. So also here, tomorrow session, so try to check this, try to check how this display work, and also try to check what is the difference between, okay, I'll just go with the task today. So what is the date today? 6, right? 6 of 9. So today task will be forms. Try to go through the forms and note down all the input types of forms. Okay. So next one will be difference between inline block and inline block. So try to check this. And also third one, I want you people to check which one. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Create multiple tables with images and details. That means what you need to create? You need to create a table. It should have a name, some content, and image should be there within that one of the table column. Got it? Each row should have one image. Okay. Or else do one thing. So create a user details table. Okay. Multiple user details tables with images and the contact details. So if it is a like heading should be serial number, name, what your contact number, mail, and profile picture. So these are the columns it should have. First row, you'll give a name, email, contact, email, and last column should have a image of that particular user. Take any celebrities or even if your photo, no issues, but I want a table such way. Got it? So that is one of the tasks. And also next, I want you people to go through. List. Okay. Create a list. Okay. Create a list using the same table. Whatever the data that you are using for the table. Okay. So with the same data, you create a list also. Okay. Understood? Line by one list. You need to create how many lists you will get. If you are creating 4 rows, 4 list items you need to create. Okay. Both ordered and unordered list. So and also fifth one, and let's check with. Yeah, that's it. That's for today's class. Okay. So is it clear for both online and offline, everyone? So who are there? Niyanta, Varun, Deva, Manjot, Komala. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
So everyone
Yes,
clear
sir.
with the task?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So try to complete by as soon as possible. Okay. Clear? Okay, guys. If you feel anybody is feeling any issues with the topics that we discussed so far, everybody is good. Image. What is the issue? No issues. Which language you are comfortable with? बोलो जोर से बोलो ना. Path selection problem. So you are facing problem with how to select the path. Okay. So let me get back to that. So usually paths will be like, for example, just imagine. Okay. So just imagine this is your folder where you have your like this is one HTML file. Okay. This is one CSS file and this is one JavaScript file. So if you want to access your file within this, what you will give? Dot slash. So when you give a dot slash, for example, you are inside this file. Understood? Inside this file, HTML file, inside this file you are sitting. And you want to access these files, which or else which you want to access the files which are there within this folder. Just consider this box as a folder. If you want to access the files within this folder, you can directly you with the file name, like directly within the quotations. If you see here, so if you see here, directly I can take the file, like if you see here amazon.css, which is already here, it is directly I can take. But just imagine I have a file which is outside of the box. Okay, that means it is one folder and it is one folder. I have multiple folders, just imagine. Okay, like this. And these all are within, I have multiple items. And these all items are again there. Just give me a minute. Okay, so let's get back. So I have multiple items or folders. Just imagine, maybe folders are item. And I have few more. These all are there inside other folder. Just imagine. Okay, I have this like this. I have multiple folders I have here again. So now if you want to access the file which is in the same folder, you can directly give that file or image or anything. File name dot extension, you can directly give, it will take it. But if you want to access the file which is there outside, that means you want to access the file, for example, from this file to this folder or this folder or this folder. So what you need to do? First, you need to come out of this folder back, right? So if you give one dot slash, it will check only inside of the folder. So if you want to come out of the folder, you need to give dot dot slash. So if when you give dot dot slash, you're not inside of it, you are outside of the folder. So now you will be able to access all these files. This one, and this file, all the 6 can be accessible now. For example, you may think like, for example, if you want to access this one, you can think like if you give dot 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 3 dot slash, it will work. No. So the path conventions are strictly correct, stopped with 2 dots only, not 3 dots. It will not accept. So if you want to go with one more folder back, again what you need to do? Dot dot slash again. So that means just if I want to go to this folder, I need to give like dot dot slash. Okay. So if I want to, let me, okay, dot dot slash, I need to give, if you want to come to this folder, if you want to access any of these folders. But if you want to access this folder, what I need to give? Dot dot slash again. Then I need to select this folder name. Just imagine it have a this folder name is like folder 1. It is folder 2. Okay. So it is folder 3. Okay. I have like these 3 folders. And it is, let's imagine this is folder 3A and it is folder 3B and it is folder 3C. Same thing happens, okay? So here it is 3D and it is E and it is folder 3F. Okay, so now you have 3 folders and within the third folder again you have sub items, subfolders you have. Okay, so now if I want to access the, for example, I want to access if I was inside of this file. So like you just imagine search is equal to, if you want to access the folder 3A, already I was in the folder 3A, my HTML file is there. So I can directly access, for example, folder 3A.html file I have. So I can directly give like this. So it is going to accept the file because I'm already in the same folder. But if I want to go to the other folder, which is there outside of my folder, then what I need to give? I need to include .. So then what happens if I give .. it is coming out of the folder and searching all the items in this folder 3. So now I can access not only the folder 3 HTML, I can access folder 3A, 3B, 3C, 3D, EF, all I can access. But even I need to go more back. So for example, I want to access a file in the folder 1. So then what I need to give? Again, I need to give .. Now what happened? Now I was able to access, what all I need to access? Now I was able to access all the items which are there in this one. Got it? Because I came 2 steps backward. So how many steps you want to go backward? That many .. you will do. Okay, these path formats will be used for only static things. But if you go with the dynamic websites, this is not at all recommendable and the people will not use these things. We'll use the import methods. If you go with the framework, we use the import methods and some other advanced methods we'll use to access. But for time being, for the current situation, as it is a very less file, single file, right? And the image also we are able to access statically. So that's why I'm using this path convention .. method. But if you go with the upcoming advanced concept, you are going to completely get rid of this path convention concept. Got it? Understood now? How you can access? If you want to access within the folder, you can directly access. If you want to access outside of the folder, .. If you want to go 2 steps backward, each step you want to go backward, it will be .. That's it. Remember like that. Clear? Anybody have any doubts? Or, Same thing happens. See, for example, just imagine, let me take a path. Okay, where is our document? Let's imagine this is our path. Okay, this is my path. So in the MacBook, I don't have any C drive or D drive. I have a single drive. But for example, for you, you have like Control X, local disk C. Okay, local disk C you will have, right? Then within that you will be accessing desktop or users or whatever it may be. Got it? For example, sorry, not here. Local disk C will be where it will be. It will be at the starting, right? So this is how your path will be generally. So if you, for example, if you put .. you will be coming to this place. Again, if you put .. you will be coming to desktop. Again, if you give .. where you will be coming to user. Now you will be able to access whichever the user is there. If you go 2 more step backward, now you have users. And if you click now, you are completely in the C drive. Okay. So now you can access only files which are there in the C drive. But if you want to access the out of the C drive, you can't use the .. method. Why? Because already you ended with the path. Okay. So if you want to go back again, what you need to do? You just need to change the C drive to the D drive, you need to copy the relative path. You need to take the relative drive name. You need to give drive name, then slash and your path where the in the drive where the your file is located. Got it? So it will go until the last path where it is available. If you want to access out of the folder, out of the drive, definitely you need to use this method only. But it is not all recommended. Not even 1% we recommend to access the files out of the drive. Why? Because compatibility issues. So it will take more time. It need to go that many steps backward and it need to search for that particular file in that particular drive. So do you think it will be easy? No, right? It will be easy for me to search for the people who are there within my room. If you want to search the people who are there in some other room, it will be very hard for me. I need to go there, I need to search and I need to get them back, right? So that's why it is never recommendable to use the path conversion for other drivers. And even it is not recommendable to go more than 2 steps backward. As I mentioned, that means from this folder to accessing these files is okay. But going from here to other folder, parent folders and accessing these files, it is not at all recommendable. Got it? Clear? Anybody have any doubts apart from this? Online people, anybody have any doubts here? Guys, I'm asking you people, anybody have any doubts? Okay, so is it clear? Okay, so that's what about today's session. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be discussing about forms. Okay, cool. Okay, then. And forms, and also we'll be discussing about, yeah, I forgot one more topic. Basic introduction of CSS we'll be going to check tomorrow. Got it? Okay, then. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye.